Maggie started a place at the table. It's Raleigh's first pay what you can cafe. It is one of the most, I know.
Thank you. Thank you.
It is like one of the most like magical places on this planet. It brings me so much joy. And their whole mission is to provide healthy food for all. So in its first year, A Place at the Table was featured on the Today Show, and Kelly Clarkson tweeted about Maggie because she's
my claim to fame.
I mean,
my girl Kelly.
Yeah, man, because she's so freaking inspiring, as you're gonna experience IRL. Maggie's an incredible. Maggie's an incredible storyteller, community builder, and overall leader, and she recently received Tar Heel of the Month.
Oh my god!
I did want to show you these stats. Like, they're freaking crazy. So in 2018, over 8,000 meals given, 40,000 meals served, 25,000 people paid it forward to help get food into the community.
Thank you.
Also, one of the best things is we recently had a Co-op Weaver Street open up down the street, and now anytime you go and shop there, they're like, hey, do you want to round up for A Place at the Table? And I got both food and then groceries, and both times I'm like, well, obviously.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you. I've been in there like every day this week. And all my bills are always like $301 or $1502 doing a roundup. So, okay.
It's like, sure.
99 cents.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. But, there's Maggie on the Today Show. Just like proof.
Oh, God.
We're all fangirls. I'm actually going to go back to a table so we don't have your...
Thank you, please. I hate when I'm speaking somewhere and my bio or my headshot is like on the big screen behind me. I'm like, oh God, it's terrible.
So weird.
Thank you.
Yeah, so thanks for being here. So we're also friends. How did we get to know each other? Was it Danny?
No, I think I met you before I met Danny.
Really?
Yeah, I've been in Danny like a year.
Oh,
I met you 2 years ago. I feel. Some nonprofit event.
I don't even know. It was probably some nonprofit event. But then, like, Maggie and this guy, Danny Rosen, who's a mentor, started, Community Leaders Drinking Coffee at A Place at the Table, which is like was it a Seinfeld?
Any Seinfeld fans? No?
Seinfeld joke?
Okay, yeah.
Maggie's claim to fame is also you all ate Pop-Tarts. I just remembered that the muffins were gluten-free and vegan for me, so I just squashed them down.
I apologize if there were any. I should have made that known.
No, I thought you said it, but then you know me, I'm so paranoid.
It's fine.
The food there is amazing, and what is so.
Thank you.
I have so many questions. I want to hear all about your table origin story, but just again to rave about table. When you go there. It's magical because you don't know who are the haves and have-nots. It's such a beautiful space. It's beautifully designed. The food is just incredible. And what made you want to create a space like that?
Thank you. Well, thanks for having me. It's so good to be here with y'all. I've been really excited for Christina for over a year now. So I'm just really proud of you. This is an amazing space. And this new HQ. I have not been here. I love it. I just want to know about you all instead. Who's from here? Okay, we got a couple people. Okay. Have y'all been to A Place at the Table? Okay. Well, thanks. Thank you for coming. It definitely is not me. I am no superhero. I am no hero. I may be the visionary. I also am the doer some days. I had to, when you guys were speaking earlier, I kept thinking of all the things. I was at work at 8 a.m. this morning because we had no volunteers. Yesterday, our whole internet went down. So all day I'm on the phone with the internet. So I think you can be a combination of both. But he's right. I don't love that part. So I'll go back and talk about how A Place at the Table happened. I graduated college in 2013. I was at NC State, and I went to school for international relations, Italian, and business. So you may be thinking, how does that relate to any type of social work or restaurant work? It doesn't, and that's okay. I thought I was going to be working abroad somewhere. I thought I'd be in another country, teaching somewhere, or doing some sort of nonprofit work abroad. And it's funny how life can just change in an instant. I began volunteering with a day shelter, working with folks experiencing homelessness here in Raleigh. People could come in, get coffee, get out of the hot weather, have just a place to be in the day. And I got to know so many amazing people there. And when I was there, I began to eat with them. And eating with people experiencing homelessness or facing extreme poverty meant going to the soup kitchen. Has anyone been to a soup kitchen? Okay, yeah. And so what I found at the soup kitchen was we would stand in line on a really hot or cold day, maybe a day that it was raining, and we would get inside, get handed a plate. We didn't get to choose what we wanted. And then we'd have to eat in about 5 minutes so someone else could come in and eat. And not that there's anything wrong with that. Soup kitchens feed 300 people in an hour. They do an amazing work fighting food insecurity in this community. But what I found was it was, again, so different than my life experience. I can go eat wherever I want. I can sit with whoever and get to know someone for hours over food. And so I started taking people out for meals. And I saw they wanted to go to places like Golden Corral or K&W Cafeteria. I just learned this morning that K&W was a chain. That apparently there are K&Ws everywhere.
Yeah.
I thought it was just a Raleigh thing, but I was wrong. I was at a birthday party and they said, yeah, like we ate at K&W last night and at some other small town somewhere. But I started taking people out for meals, and that's where they wanted to go. And I asked why. Every time we'd go, I'd ask why. And my friend John said, Maggie, because when we walk in, there are multiple people who are greeting us. You've got the person at the door greeting, opening the door. You have the person at the cash register. You have the people behind the counter serving the food. Multiple people are acknowledging your presence. Then we get to choose. We can have coffee and waffles one day, or we can have a sweet tea and a salad one day. And we get to make that choice whatever we're feeling that day, because someday you just want a waffle, right? And then,
I mean, yeah.
yeah, or every day. And then we get to sit and someone serves us. Someone comes and asks us if we need a refill and acknowledges again that we are there. So I started thinking of what we could do to make that an everyday option. I started researching. I found the Pay What You Can system. I saw that there were over 60 across the country, which I just learned last night that there are well over 1 million restaurants in the country, and there's only 60 Pay What You Can cafes. And a lot of them are in small towns, and they just use this Pay What You Can model. So they don't necessarily, or not necessarily, none of them are the same. They're not using similar like look structure. They're not, they don't have a similar staff. They might not be open similar hours, but we use this same Pay What You Can structure. So what that means is when you walk in, all of our prices are suggested prices. We are a regular restaurant. As you see in that picture, we look like a regular restaurant. You walk in, you wouldn't even know we are a nonprofit until you start to see people with a name tag that says volunteer, until you start to see people coming around and filling your water even though you hadn't even taken a single sip out of it. But you start to see some different things and some signage that we have. But so you can pay the price that we have. That's a suggested price. You can pay more. That's people's way to pay it forward. That's that 25,000 times that Christina said that people have paid it forward. And that's through tipping. I tip everywhere I go. I don't know about you, but I do. And so it's easy to pay it forward there. You can also purchase meal tokens. These tokens are full meals for people in this community. They can then buy this token, give it to someone who may need a meal or need a community, or leave it with us and we make sure it goes to folks. You can pay less. Every day we have people paying $2 for their meal or $5 for their family, because we just know some weeks are harder than others. And if you can't pay less, you volunteer with us. We see anywhere from 60 to 80 people a day volunteering for their meal. Let that sink in. Sounds like a total cluster and chaotic mess, right? But it works and it's beautiful. And every single day, we see those 60 to 80 that want to be there because they want that hand up, first hand out.
It's insane, right? I mean, I just feel like there's like
I'm lucky. I'm so lucky. You're too nice.
Well, no, I mean,
You're like my
it's just
cheerleader.
like it's awesome. So I mean, okay. So now we're gonna get more into. I mean, we're trying to figure our shit out
for sure.
So
I still don't know. Let's just know every day.
Well, that's the real secret. We're like,
right.
Nobody actually has their shit figured out. But
No.
if you're trying,
Yes,
you're gonna get closer.
for sure.
So how did you?
Sorry, just ruined the theme of the day.
No. Like we are all on the
Figuring it out.
So how did you develop a plan?
Yeah.
Like, where did you start? So you started,
Sure.
you came up with the idea, but then where did you go from there?
Yep. So I had no idea what I was doing. I had worked in restaurants my whole life. It was just something I had done throughout high school, throughout college to pay bills. But I had no idea how to run one. I had no idea how to own one technically. I also had never worked in a nonprofit. I had never ran a nonprofit. Again, I went to school for international relations. I worked in restaurants in college and in a pharmacy. Like, those skills are not relatable, but they are. No one thought they were. I didn't think they were, but they are. And so, again, I had no idea what I was doing, but I knew that I wanted to see change happen. I saw Raleigh going, the haves were going one way and the have-nots were going the other. And I could not live with the fact that there was this divide and it was only getting worse. So I really wanted to create a place that brought people together. So I just started working on it. I built a small team of people. It's all about the people, I swear. We were, at the end of, this was in 2014, I started going to visit the other Pay What You Can cafes, learning from them, not reinventing the wheel, learning about what they were doing, what was working, what was not working, what would work for Raleigh, what wouldn't work for Raleigh. I probably went up 5 or 6 times to the closest one, which is in Boone. And the one in Boone is very different from A Place at the Table, but I wanted to see if it was something that could work for Raleigh. And I took about 5 or 6 different people up with me, friends, family, people like that. No one told me I was crazy. No one told me that I couldn't do it. And so came back, and in the end of 2014 said, all right, I'm going to do this. I started to create this small little team of people that also found a relation to it. They found like they fit. And I asked people to be a part of that. So I incorporated us as a business in January of 2015. I didn't know what I was doing. I heard you had to go down to the Secretary of State's office. And so I did. And they weren't that nice because I think they really didn't like their job, but I'm sure it's a hard job. And so they told me to go home and like go look online of what to do. So I did. And then I went back and I had the wrong paperwork again. Went back the next week, and then I finally went back. And I finally got it in the mail 10 days later that we were a business. It's truly not that hard. So I'm sure most of you have done it. So if not, talk to me. I'll tell you it's very easy. And so
I get it, girl. I get it. I mean, thankfully I had a friend who was a lawyer. And I'm like,
what am I
do?
doing?
And he wrote a book. And so I was like, I'll do your cheap option.
Yeah.
So I basically paid him $100 to talk to me on the phone and tell me everything I needed to know.
So you had the step-by-step.
And then,
go that route. Or just get this from Christina.
Or
Sounds like she has it on Word document.
Oh, no. He sponsored us. So he'll actually help. He'll help us if anyone's not formed yet. So we have like a mix of like mid-stage businesses and
I was going to say, yeah, I just want to know all about y'all too. This is awesome. But again, I had no idea what I was doing. And so then built this team to even come together more. We called ourselves a vision team there were about 8 or 9 of us. And it was like someone like my mom to a lawyer that someone I knew. And just formed this little vision team. And that vision team turned into our board of directors. Some of them left, some of them stayed. But we ended up that year applying for nonprofit status, knowing we needed to go the nonprofit route because we needed to be able to accept donations as well and not just be restaurants fail every single day, for-profit restaurants. And so I knew that if we weren't a nonprofit restaurant, one, people wouldn't feel a part of it. I have found that donors want to be a part of it. That is their way to feel connected. And so that was a way people could be a part and take part in it, but also we wouldn't succeed. And we wanted to give out a ton of meals as well. So we applied for nonprofit status, had no idea what we were doing either, found a lawyer to do it pro bono, and he came in, read over all of our paperwork, and at this point I had pulled in a CPA, a lawyer, a restaurateur, different people that the skills I didn't have. Again, like in international relations, like I wrote my senior thesis on Haiti, okay? Like very different than downtown Raleigh mission work. And so pulled people together, applied for this, and applied in about May, so 3 or 4 months later, and then received it in November of 2015, received our nonprofit status. In that period, you may ask what we're doing. We met once a week, and we talked about what we were doing. We were figuring our shit out of what we were doing. We thought, hey, we're going to open in January of 2016 as a restaurant. We're going to get our nonprofit status. We're going to be fundraising. I launched a GoFundMe campaign for $100,000. I raised like $9,000. So I was like, I didn't know what I was doing. And so now I say, and it's funny because January 2016 is when we thought we were going to open. I found this. I went into someone's office the other day, and there was this brochure from A Place at the Table, and it looked like a freaking 5-year-old colored it. Like, it was bright colors. Our original logo was orange, and it looked like a pumpkin, and it was like, there's like terrible. So we're going to open January 2016. We even put a location. None of that happened. None of that. And so, which is great, because I tell you, if we opened in January 2016, we would not be here today. So it took us 3.5 years. We opened in January of 2018. So to go from 2014 vision to January 2018, everyone asked, what did we do? And I always say, instead of fundraising, we friend raised. So we did not raise much money at all. Like I said, that $9,000 out of the $100,000 I thought I wanted to raise, my first budget that I wrote said we need to raise $60,000 to open this restaurant. Like, come on. You need a lot more than $60,000 to open a restaurant. So we did not raise any of that money in those 3 years until we found a location. In 2017, about August, we found this perfect location downtown. And then we called on all of those people that we had been friend raising and building relationships with over those 3.5 years and said, look, we're ready. Here we are. You know, I always think about why we didn't raise any money during that time. And that's because we didn't have a space. No one wants to give money to someone who doesn't have a space. And then we couldn't find a space because you don't want to give to someone who doesn't have any money. So it was like this chicken and egg caught in this. But then, like I said, in building relationships, we hosted a lot of events, things like that. Then we were able to call on all those people and raise significant capital at that time to open in January 2018. That answer your question?
That is super helpful. Well, and, okay, so a thought came to mind. So one of your talents seems to be that you have like no problem asking for help and like getting people involved. So for someone that might not be so great at knowing when to ask for help, knowing how to ask for help, or even like doing that friend raising, like how did you approach that, and how did you get people involved to solve that chicken and egg problem?
Yeah, I mean, so it's funny, everyone thinks I'm extremely extroverted, and I'm not. And I actually, in high school, I had a really crappy high school experience. I hated it. I was made fun of a lot, and I didn't have any friends. When I went to college, I started to make more friends and find my community, but I've never known a ton of people. It's not my MO. My last name's Kane, and so everyone thinks, if you're from Raleigh, you know the richest man in Raleigh's last name is Kane as well. So everyone, John Kane, he built probably this. Yeah. You don't know John Kane? Oh. What? North Hills. Yeah, he built North Hills. He's built the Dillon in downtown Raleigh.
Gotcha.
Yeah, not my father, okay? Right? But everyone thinks like on all these podcasts, people ask me about it, and I always say no, like this would have been a lot easier. It would have been, but it wouldn't be what it was, right? It wouldn't have all these authentic, real, genuine people behind it. But the thing about me is I was never afraid to put myself out there and ask, knowing they would say no. I had so many people say no over the years, over and over and over, but I kept asking. That's the point. John Kane, speaking of John Kane, I emailed him in 2014 and I said, I want to develop this restaurant concept and I don't have a father. You may be my long lost father. And you probably should never say that to John Kane. That's just not something you do. But then the year after I wrote him again, he didn't respond. The year after I wrote him again, he didn't respond. This year, he responded, and now they're donors of a place at the table.
Wow.
So, you know, we never addressed that email. But he's probably, if he listens to any, like, I'm sure someone has told him that story. But I think the point is that, like, I asked people 3 or 4 times, and I think everyone should ask people 3 or 4 times. Don't be afraid of them to say no, because they probably will. But they'll say no because they think they don't have time, or they're just, at the time, they're just too busy to say yes. But they'll say yes eventually if you keep pushing. And if they don't, you'll find someone else that says yes. So I think the point being, like, I just kept asking. And what I found out is people want to help. They really want to help. They just need to know how, and they need to know specifics of how to help. So, hey, I really needed a restaurateur. So I reached out to all the restaurateurs. I mean, Ashley Christensen, Cheedy, I got all of them. I didn't hear back from most of them. But when I finally sat down with the folks that own Buku and Soka, and I said, I really need, again, I knew nothing. He's like asking me questions on profit margin and coffee business and all these things. And I didn't know the answers. And I said, that's why I need you to help with this. And he's now our board chair, or our second, he was our board chair, is our vice chair now. But so just asking, and it's okay to say, I don't know. That's why I need your help. I hope that answers your question.
I just like freaking love you. Because I mean, even your energy that you bring, like, it's just so powerful. Because I feel like I'm like a fangirl and a friend, and I look up to you so much. Because when you go into this stuff, it's very easy to like shrink into, well, I'm afraid to ask for help. I mean, even actually Maggie came in and Maggie's like, did you pay for catering? Why did you do that, Christina? And I was like, oh shit. Sometimes you don't even know what to ask. You don't even know how to like ask for sponsors or even think about that. But
on that note, I think it's you do things like this and then you learn.
Right.
I mean, everything was a learning for me and for you. I mean, I look up to you too. Yeah. You have learned along the way of okay, that worked. Okay, that didn't work. Here's what I can do next time to not make it better, but whatever the word would be. Like, do it better. I don't know.
Iterate. What?
Yeah.
Any nerds? What?
I'm not
the word iterate. Sorry. So sometimes I'll be in those that's like the nerdy term for it, but I'll go to a place at the table meetings, and every once in a while I'll start doing MBA speak, and all of these nonprofit directors are like, and I'm like, I'm sorry, I spoke alien. I'll stop.
No, we're just like, oh my gosh, what books is she reading? Because we're not reading them. We're watching Netflix. That's what we're all thinking, because you're super smart.
Thanks, friend.
It's true.
Okay. Oh, this is a good question. This is related. Have there been any times that you failed? And if so, how did you handle it? And what did you learn?
I failed a bunch, and I continue to fail all the time. I think, I mean, from small things like that John Kane story to, I mean, that's not necessarily a failure, but it was not my like brightest moment. Right? And but I don't call any of them failures. I truly, that might sound cliche, but I learned every single time along the way. I had no idea how to write that budget. I had no idea. Let me think of more specific examples. Yesterday, I'd never set the internet up right. So yesterday, our whole system completely crashed. And luckily, it wasn't our Friday group, and luckily it was slow for the cafe. But we gave away food the whole day. So if you had come in, you would have gotten free food, because our system crashed because Maggie didn't set the internet up right. And this is 2 years, like finally, like it was bound to happen someday. But I called Spectrum. I was on the phone with Spectrum forever, all day. They're like, oh, you didn't do this right. We have to restart this. Like, we got to come in tonight. And so, like, I'm no genius. I just like did stuff to try and learn it. And then I learned that this didn't work. But did we make it through the day? Yes. Were people happy? Yes. Did people get fed and good food? Yes. I try really hard to be a good leader. I have 11 people on staff. And I have days where I am not a good leader. And I have days where I lose my shit. And I get really frustrated and upset. And I feel like a failure. But then I go in and I apologize, and I am real about it and just say, this is what's going on in my life. And I apologize and try to make up for it. So I'm definitely not perfect. I'm failing every day. But I think that's what we all do. None of us are perfect.
Well, I love that too. That's been a whole journey for me. We're going to talk about it. But like learning to understand that we're just freaking human.
Yeah.
And I feel like we've all been fed this like bullshit that leadership looks a certain way. And it's like Don Draper from Mad Men.
Yeah, right.
And they like have this perfect sheen. And it's just, this is bullshit.
No, it's
like,
hard.
It's not life.
It's
like,
hard.
We're human, and sometimes we all lose our shit, and like we're gonna get it wrong.
Definitely.
How do you manage that many people and that many volunteers? Any?
So on top of the 11 staff, we have 60 to 80 people volunteering for their meal, and 10 to 20 who have regular weekly shifts with us. So 10 or 20 other volunteers that are in there. So we've got like 100 people in that cafe working throughout the day, and it is so hard. It is really hard. I do multiple laps around the building just to like get away for a minute. But I keep getting reminded. I remind myself every day of why this work matters and why I'm doing what I do. Yesterday was hell. It was like total hell, the worst day. And then I walked out of there and I thought of all those folks that were fed a great meal, that were building community, doing dishes together, that were thankful to be there. The kids that may not have gotten a meal that day that did. The volunteers that got to give away food all day, and what a gift that was. So I thought of all of them, and I thought of how this was affecting everyone else's lives, and why I'm doing the work I'm doing, and realize that's why I do this work. So I try to reflect back on that. I think another thing that keeps me going and how I manage all that I do is I celebrate everything. So every little thing that happens, I try to remember to celebrate it. Ever since getting our first $10 check to getting getting pastries donated at an event that we first had in 2014. Celebrate every little moment, every birthday, because those make your team dynamics, those make you dynamics keep going and excited to do the work you do. So that I think that celebration as a team. You asked specifically how I manage 11 people. I know people have a lot larger staffs than that. But I think with them, I remind them daily, this is not me doing it. This is our team doing this together. And y'all all play a major role in this. So everyone feels like they have a place and they own something on staff. And they feel, I don't necessarily love the word empowered, but they feel that ownership and they feel a major part of it too. So reminding them of that, encouraging them all the time, writing notes to them, and just really making them feel like they are a part of this change in our city too. I don't know if that answered your question either, but
I think so. I love that. I mean, there's just so many like great pieces of wisdom. Okay, this might be my last question. How are we doing on time? Are we 3
o'clock? Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, good. What? 3. Great. Because I think we have till 3:15, so we got some time. So I have one more question, and then we'll let you all ask questions.
Fire them out me.
How do you stay sane?
I do not. I do not. How do y'all stay sane? Because I need some ideas. Okay. We've talked about this a lot over the year. It's really hard. It is really hard to stay sane. I probably work about 80 hours a week, just being honest. I'm a really transparent person, and I say that. Probably work about 80 hours a week. But I meditate, love some meditation. And you might think that means like 15 minutes a day or an hour a day. No, that is 1 minute. I time it on YouTube, and it makes a difference. I go to therapy.
Preach.
Yep.
Therapy.
Yep. And I just started, so that and for anyone who goes to therapy and feels like it sucks and you haven't found the right person, like keep trying other people. It will feel so well worth it when you find the right person. So I go to therapy. I used to be a runner, but I don't run anymore. Something happened to my hamstring, but I try to walk or do yoga every day, which is my thing. I have to do it or I'm not staying sane. I like to travel. I went to Chicago last weekend, so getting out, that is the time that I get out of my head and I'm away from this place. Probably those things, which are all probably very normal. Many of you probably do that too for yourself. But I think that, and I just watch a lot of Netflix, and I do. Like, it's so different than my life. And, a lot of people say they never watch TV. I watch TV, and like trashy TV.
Well, I think that's bullshit. I'm the same freaking way. Like,
Trashy
we watched
TV.
Glow last night. What? Netflix.
I haven't seen that.
Oh, Glow. I
haven't seen that.
Girl, gorgeous ladies of wrestling.
What?
Everyone's like freaking out.
I thought you were talking about like some talent show or something.
No, it's on Netflix. It's Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling. It's like an 80s show. It's hilarious.
This is too good. I don't do that. I do like CSI and like Criminal Minds. Yes. Yep.
I mean, I love them too.
Yeah. But I do. I think it's crazy when people are like, oh no, like I read at night, and I like to read, but sometimes you just need to
chill,
not think about anything else.
Well, and thank you for normalizing therapy too.
Yep.
I mean, I'm like, can I get snapped? I'm like gonna pressure you into be like therapy. Oh, and I mean, I hear like turning brain off. Therapy's legit, man.
Yes.
Like just dealing with your humanity and learning.
Well, everyone needs an hour to talk about themselves. They do. Whether you're going in deep or not, like you just need an hour to talk about your week.
I mean, there have been times where I was just like, I did this and I did this and I did that, and she's like, that sounds hard, and I was like, yeah,
it was.
And she was like, yeah, and I'm like,
it was. I love it. It's so true.
Anyways, okay, enough about my questions. Do you have questions for Maggie?
I will normalize that. I still have people every day tell me this is not going to work. Like, when is this going to be shut down? Like this not that because they don't think it's right and the right thing to do, but they think this is never going to work, or people are going to start taking advantage, or something like that. So people still to this day, and there'll always be people like that. How did I get past that? And how did you never really do. You just have to be confident enough with yourself. And grace. I truly, as much as I want to punch someone in the face because they talked me down and told me it was never going to work and told all their friends it wasn't going to work, seeing them in there, I have to give them grace and say people do change, and people are just scared of the unknown. And then once they see it, it changes them a little bit. So they're being changed by you and seeing that, but they put up that gut quick reaction to you, and I feel bad for those people, because if that's how they live. So I try to just do it with extreme kindness and grace. But I get it. I did hear it from a lot of other restaurants in this area and from different restaurateurs, and they just said, oh, that's never going to work, right? And then I never heard from them again. And now they come around. Now they want to be a part of it. And so they're a part of it, right? But I just try not to focus on those people. I focus on the people that are making it happen every day and who believe in us now and who are a part of that team. And I just ignore the others. And not in a bad way, but if they want to get involved, they will seek it out. But I'm sorry about that. I think you just have to do everything to not let them discourage you and stop the way you're going and stop your path, because they are not you. They just want to be you. Truly.
It's so
they
real.
They are seeing how great your pictures are, how successful you are. And so you got to find those people. In everything I do, it is about a team. It is about the people supporting you. Like, a place that will only happen because the people that supported us. And so you have to find your champions, your cheerleaders, your people that make you feel confident enough to be doing the work you do, and just ignore the others.
That is that for me has been so real.
You had that happen a lot.
Well, I mean, I definitely had it a lot. And what I've come to learn, for me, you have to be very careful of whose opinion you trust.
Yes.
And you have to look at the lens in which they're giving it to you. So we are in this room today because I ignored someone's advice.
Yeah.
Actually, multiple people's advice.
Many people.
Yeah, because someone was like, are you qualified to do that? Which, we're not even getting into the qualification discussion today, but you have to understand their fears. Yeah. You have to understand their perspective and their values. Some people value safety and they are willing to live a secure life because they would rather do that than put themselves out there. And
that's great, but you're doing what you're doing because you believe in yourself, and you got to keep believing in that. And you've got people who believe in you, and you're doing it for them too, not for them.
You can cut people out. You can't. I have distanced myself even from loved ones that weren't being supportive, and they're like, I haven't heard from you. And then all of a sudden they got supportive for one reason or another. And then they get back in my life. Yeah. I mean, literally, because I'm just like, if you are not supportive, you are not in my space anymore or right now.
My mom will tell you, she said this, we had our annual fundraiser last year, 2 weeks ago, and she will tell you that in 2014, she thought this would never work. In 2015, she thought this would never work. 2016, she never thought this would work. She kept saying, Maggie, stop doing this. This is never going to work. And then she was at this event, and she saw how successful it was. And she volunteers every Friday now. And so she now does, she apologizes for not being supportive. And I just let her, she was along the whole ride of it. But I kept going because I believed it in enough and had enough other people that believed in it.
Maggie,
thank you guys for having me.
I know.
It's really cool that you are dedicating time to doing this and working on this and working on you. It's important, and it takes bravery, and it takes that confidence in yourself. So good for you. The first step is just signing up, and everyone tells you that's so cliche, but the first step is
being here and dedicating time for it. And just go home and watch Netflix tonight.
Netflix.